Hi, this is Phoenix, and I'm going to read from my newly published book, Death's Mirror. Death's Mirror was published by Exit Reason Books just recently. Exit Reason Books is a publisher that specializes in releasing books that are um, experimental and avant garde, usually written by people that think differently, and that's why the publisher is called Exit Reason. The idea is to definitely draw attention to certain literary styles that definitely break away from not just mainstream publishers, but and mainstream publishing and books and literature, but also mainstream thought. So the idea is really to challenge mainstream thought as we know it, and to do it with experimental books. And so this book is dark fantasy and includes, but not dark fantasy in the traditional sense, and it includes a lot of philosophy in it, and and the book is available on Amazon. You can find it under Phoenix, and yeah, and so I hope that you enjoy what you read, and you should check out Exit Reason Books because they're an awesome publisher, and I think that they definitely have a lot to say in terms of thinking differently and welcoming the reject and the outcast. And to me, that's what makes the publisher really awesome. All right, without further ado, here's Death's Mirror. Death's Mirror or Death's Mirror? That's Death's Mirror. Death looking at himself in the mirror and seeing someone full of life. That's Death's Mirror. You see something that seems true but in reality isn't. The deception, the sharp blade of deceit. That's Death's Mirror, and it cuts like a knife blade, reflecting death or death himself, deflecting and reflecting and encouraging and discouraging ideas of murder. Things simultaneously true and untrue. Symmetry, paradox, illusion, deception. Shards masquerading as guilty knife blades. Shards masquerading as full mirrors reflecting perfection, reflecting poison. Death's Mirror or Death's Mirror? Death's Mirror or Death's Mirror? Dustin was walking along the sidewalk, thinking of nothing in particular, except for a random surge of anger that came from nowhere. Angry about what? There was nothing to be angry about, no reason to hurt anyone around him. No reason to hurt himself. Not that he hurt himself, he was too perfect of a person. But yeah, there was no reason for him to take a knife and stab an oblivious person. Residual frustration from past experiences surfacing from the deep. For the first and last time, like a corpse long submerged in the depths of the sea by apathy to finally arrive at the top, floating inconspicuously, and yet not at all, floating as though in the sky and in Sharon's river. The rage wouldn't leave Dustin alone. It was brief, a flicker, a flash of undetermined anger, of rage left to wet itself upon its whetstone, its own feast of flesh, wet with indecision and the agonies of unripe blood, still so young, still so petulant in innocence. But Dustin told himself that it needed to leave, because he didn't want to hurt anyone, and that was exactly what he was going to do if he didn't get a chance to get out all of his anger. All of his anger accumulating like confusion, all of it assimilating into a dystopia that Dustin couldn't see and wasn't aware of, but existed in the underlayers of everything around him, even in his own skin. The disease he couldn't sense, because he did not want to become a killer. He only wanted to be a normal 19-year-old who focused on good things, going to college and getting good grades, to then have a good life. The layers and layers of existence piling upon Dustin that anger, and he told himself that it wasn't real. During the flash, he saw a small bug on the side of a wall, black with orange flecks, and somehow orange with black flecks, and somehow none of those, somehow white, somehow clear, somehow nothing at all, and everything, but there nonetheless. Dustin wanted to take his soul and smash the bug before it knew what had happened. But it was a bug, so it of course couldn't feel anything. But that was what Dustin wanted to do, and he told himself that he needed to during this flash. He told himself it was wrong, which was why he only stared at the bug for a brief flicker of a second, a brief flash of the knife blade, telling himself that no, 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 he wasn't going to destroy the life of something so innocent, destroy God's creature, which was an intricate piece in this puzzle of existence that Dustin could not violently yank out of the grand masterpiece and scheme unless he wanted to challenge God, whatever God was. Dustin hesitated during this flash, unaware that he was still walking and still trying to process what he had just seen. An innocent white, black, orange speck, clear, orange speck, orange black speck, nothing at all and yet everything, bug that he had, for just a brief moment, wanted to smash with his heel, crush it into the very essence of the wall, crushing bone in a building that had murdered college students beneath it, students that no one knew about. Yes, it'd probably be helpful to know that Dustin was still on his college campus. Anyway, Dustin continued to walk, unaware that he was even walking, unaware that he even cared, not knowing that he had a sharp knife in his hands, though metaphorically, though perhaps literally. Yes, literally. It wasn't long until, on the same wall, he saw the remains of a bug who had indeed been smashed. Dustin didn't notice it at first, until the black-orange smear made itself apparent. Dustin had done that, and Dustin had stepped into an alternate universe, where he had chosen to kill the bug out of spite, spite that came from a deep wellspring within him, that he tried to suppress, suppressed by the bitter experiences that caused them, and spite that came from no source at all, was only the product of psychopathic rage. Dustin stared at the sight of the smashed bug for a long time, for the longest time. Yes, he'd done that. Yes, it was his fault that the bug was gone. He turned around to look for the bug on the wall, to see if it was still there. Because this was the real world, right? Not some alternate universe where Dustin had killed the bug and not recollected it. No, that was incorrect. A scholar of Death's Mirror would know that wasn't quite Death's Mirror, perhaps in spirit but not in terms of accuracy. Something untrue and therefore Death's Mirror. What really happened was Dustin killed this bug, with this thought of killing the first bug, though without stepping into an alternate universe. His anger, while a brief flash, had been enough to murder this bug here. But that couldn't be true. Someone else had killed this bug. Perhaps Death himself. Dustin wasn't sure what was happening. He felt both of these theories, all of these theories, were true in a multi-layered world, in a world that he could only misperceive because of the confusions abound. So, Dustin had turned around, but the moment he turned around, he saw the sunlight flash, blinding him for a second with its sharp beauty, with its apparent devastation, its illusory contamination. It was short and only blinded him for a second, but it was more than sunlight. What he saw was a whole universe flashing before him, appearing and then disappearing as fast as it had come. In that alternate universe, he would have seen the bug, the one he'd passed and not killed, smashed. Or he would have seen himself smashing the bug, or he would have seen that in double vision, in the sense that he saw himself smashing the bug 2 times over, one after the other, in the same universe but somehow cleaved into 2 different instances of the same event, or perhaps 2 parallel universes overlapping each other. He would have seen himself smashing the bug an infinite number of times. And he would have seen himself telling the bug to fly away, and he would have seen himself telling the bug to fly an infinite number of times, and he would have seen himself smashing the bug only once, with that being all that happened in that world. He wasn't sure what he was seeing, if he was seeing anything at all, because when he looked, he saw that the bug he'd wanted to smash was no longer there. Of course, there was no reason to get bent out of shape with twisted perceptions. The bug had only flown away. The bug had only flown away while Dustin smashed this bug here. The only problem with that theory was the lack of recollection, the lack of a recollection. Why didn't he remember killing this bug? Well, that answer was easy, because he didn't kill the bug. Death's Mirror was all over Dustin right now, trying to get him to believe in things that weren't there, true in one way or another, but not true in his apparent reality. All that had happened was none of these smoke and mirror delusions of alternate universes and his anger reflecting, just by existence, the murder of another bug. All that happened was that Dustin passed a bug, thought about killing it, and then passed another bug that someone else had killed out of spite. Simple as that. Nothing else to it, no point in overanalyzing it. But in that case, Death's Mirror couldn't be ignored, because it was trying to create an illusory world of misperception and scary interconnected ideas about the nature of the universe and the nature of even alternate universes. But the flash, that meant something. Dustin knew it. He couldn't ignore it. No matter how much he wanted to, he just couldn't ignore it. That, however, was Death's Mirror, the mystery behind what had really happened behind that flash, whether the bug simply flew away, whether it hid an alternate universe taking place in that space, or a whole slew of other ideas. The mystery was Death's Mirror making itself as mysterious as possible, where possibility after possibility became possible and impossible, where everything was nothing, where what was wasn't, where what wasn't was. Where what isn't is, and where what is isn't, Dustin said to himself. A reflection. All he needed was Death's literal mirror in front of him right now, showing mystery, showing the impossible, showing everything and nothing. Dustin decided that the best thing he could do right now was continue along his way, until something of reality finally made itself known. Reality couldn't misperceive itself forever, before something perfect, something true finally happened. Even if it was only a glimpse, Dustin would take it. He would take it and run with it. He desperately needed a morsel of truth to make itself known, to tell Dustin what to do, to tell him truth that he could hold on to, tell him truth that wasn't elusive like a snake. Even though elusive truth that was only a glimpse, that was only a lie, was exactly what Dustin needed, even though he had no idea what exactly that meant, or if that was his previous thought. That's Death's mirror, Dustin said to himself, and he just continued along his way. He hoped he would run into a friend, someone who could distract him from all of these cosmic ideas, because he was sure that all of it was true, in some disparate and desperate way, in some possible way, in some minuscule way, in some glimpse that one could see, in a puddle reflecting like a knife blade, so sharp, so beautiful, bittersweet, playing like the sharp sounds of a slashed and smashed and yet in-tuned devil's harp, plucking heartstrings like cords, stabbing the ears with ecstasy simply unquantifiable, and yet held in the vibrations of the eardrum. To last forever, to last every day, to last for only a fraction of a second, and to last a fraction of a second even smaller than the fraction mentioned previously, moving along like a fractured fractal through time and space, moving like undiscovered geometries, never displaying their patterns, never showing off the structure of the universe, of an atom, of a cell, of a person's mind, of humanity. According to Death's mirror, nothing could ever be truly quantifiable. It would always have to be something evasive. It would always have to be a fact slowly making itself unknown, slowly throwing off layer after layer, to show an infinite fractal and chord beneath, and yet not that at all. Simply something that never ended, something that could never end, something that wanted to end but didn't end because it couldn't, because it wanted to be a riddle wrapped inside of a riddle wrapped inside of a riddle wrapped inside of a question mark, that of which never wanted to make itself clear, only wanted to show off the elusive, only wanted to outsmart the search for truth, because ultimately truth slips from your grasp like a lie. And that was the point of Dustin trying to figure out what was happening around him, and why his head was slowly unraveling, as though to reveal the ultimate secret that one could never see, because it was a false glimpse, because it was a false reality masquerading as truth. Dustin decided it was time to think about the implications of what he had just experienced. No matter what had happened, whether he only passed a live bug and then a smash bug, someone else smashed, or something else entirely, didn't matter, because what matters was that he thought about killing something innocent no less, something that didn't deserve to die. He had wanted to kill the bug with all the rage he felt within himself, had wanted to do it as though he was killing a human. Perhaps killing a human was even the next step. He didn't want to think like that, because it couldn't be true. Dustin couldn't be a murderer slowly forming, slowly crystallizing. It was wrong. No, Dustin was a good human being, and he only wanted to help people. He only wanted to treat people with kindness and love. You wish, Dustin said to himself, and he believed that this was the new, real reality. He did want to hurt people. He did want to murder them. The reason for the desire to murder was still unclear, but whether it was because of a past life that Dustin lived in that had him as a murderer that was slowly bleeding into this life, or whether Dustin had always had the desire, had only repressed it to the point to where it finally wanted to fight back, really didn't matter, because the desire was a real thing, and it was not going to go away. Again, this is Phoenix, and this is from my new book, Death's Mirror, again published by Exit Reason Books. You can find the book on Amazon. I hope you enjoyed what you heard, and and check out Exit Reason Books. They're an awesome publisher, and they have an exciting future ahead of them. Again, this is Phoenix, and thank you.